everyone, welcome back to Let's Play Great Ace Attorney. On our last episode, we got through our closing arguments to see if we could pierce through the Skulkin brothers' testimony. And I got a feeling we got another one coming up right away. The very day before the hateful murder of Mr. Winterbank, the accused attempted to make off with this article, which clearly doesn't belong to him. And with none of the subtlety of a pickpocket, I might add, but by brute force and brazen impudence. Good gracious! Make no mistake, any sympathy for the accused on the amount of her years is misguided and dangerous. There are no depths to which this girl will not stoop if pushed. No crime she would not commit. The court forgets that fact at its peril. I see. I think it would be prudent to take this music box disc into evidence counsel. As a grim testament to the defendant's care. Lord Van Zeek saw, Inspector Gregson? What? Yes, Inspector. We had a meeting yesterday at the yard with the prosecution service and, I think it was agreed that disc wouldn't be used as evidence. What's this all about? Why is the inspector acting strangely? Something's up here. I don't know, is that some kind of secret evidence or something? That's the first time he said anything to Van Zeeks at all. I'm unaware of any such meeting. But those were the instructions right from the top. The government bigwigs were insisting. This goes further. I am the prosecutor, and I alone determine how to present my case. Your warning is noted. Thank you. Hey! The prosecution wishes to proceed with submitting this disc as evidence, my lord. Indeed. Bailiff. The prosecution has established the accused motive, opportunity, and baseness of character. There is nothing more to add. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, I await your informed decisions and rest my case. I don't believe it. I had the jury on my side for once, for all of 5 minutes. It wasn't even 5 minutes, Bruno. Oh, Bruno, look! This is blood! You're right. Just a small smear, but definitely blood. Actually, I feel as though I might have noticed that before. Then it's my time to shine again. Can we do this gun quickly, Iris? In a flash! It's green. It's the same blood on the calendar. Wait, that color. It's just that green. It's not the first time we've seen that color, is it? 4 different blood samples. My lord! Wonder if I might say something at this point. Proceed, Mr. Foreman. Been stumbling about in a bit of fog up to now, if truth be told. All of a sudden, answer's bally obvious to me and my men. There's only one thing for it. Not again. Very well, the court will hear from the jury. Ladies and gentlemen, you will present your leanings as to the defendant's culpability.
Guilty.
Guilty.
Guilty. Guilty.
Guilty.
Guilty.
Oh boy. Here we go again. Twice in one case. And this is in a row, too. Wow. When you have eliminated the impossible, whatever remains must be the truth. You're quoting Sherlock Holmes right in front of us. That's my line. I wrote that. For Hurley. How dare he use it against us? Don't worry, Iris. I don't think we're finished. Time for... Gugina didn't shoot Windibank. That's beyond any doubt. Very well. We will proceed with the second summation examination for the day. Foreman, are you and the other jurors ready? Benedict Squadron is primed and ready for action, sir. Very good. So, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, you will each explain on what grounds you have now determined the defendant to be guilty. Alrighty. What's a rogue? Always a rogue, I say. Different breed to us law-abiding citizens. As only 2 bullets were found at the scene, I would say the whole case is done and dusted. You don't need a stereoscope to see the truth here. Every which way you look at it, it was that pickpocket. I never imagined that simple operation would cause me such grief. The accused attempted a theft on the previous day. I can see I'm in for a busy day ahead. I'm Ballistics Expert. I've seen many shootings. There's nothing I do not know about guns. It seemed there's little remaining room for doubt. I have to admit, I was rather bowled over by the argument put forward by the chap in the black. When I fell apart like a house of cards, I saw that I'd jolly well been hoodwinked. Well, no more. The whole courtroom's turning against me. It's not fair. Iris, that prosecutor's being mean. Just because Ginny's done something she shouldn't have done in the past. That didn't make her a murderer. Allow me to savor this fruity vintage while I savor the spectacle of your fruitless debate on the matter. Here's to the truth coming out, eventually. That's enough preamble. Counsel, proceed with the summation examination. Ow. Yes, my lord. Jury examination. Here we go. Blah, blah, blah.
Hold it!
Would you please stop muttering about things that have nothing to do with this trial, sir? The defendant's life is on the line here. Well, the thing is, I couldn't really say that it is nothing to do with this trial, to be honest. Huh? I mean, there's no question that the man was shot, but the bullet had simply vanished from his stomach. It's quite inexplicable, don't you think? I almost don't want to ask, but this surgery you've been muttering about all this time, you were operating on... What's the fellow's name now? Hairlick? No. Hairlock? No. Hairlock. Herlock Sholmes by any chance? Yes, good lord. Here's that Hairlock fellow. What? You're the surgeon that operated on Dr. Sholmes. That's right, using the very latest anesthesia techniques, I might add. It's a fairly major op, I can tell you. This is crazy. Let me see, the fellow was brought in not long after midnight, if I remember correctly. He said he'd been shot by some criminal or other, so I opened him up like a shot. The funny thing is, I went over his insides with a fine-tooth comb and couldn't find the bullet anywhere. So I'm afraid I had to throw up my hands and just stitch the fellow back up. I hate to say the obvious, but... Yes? Surely that's because the bullet is still at the scene of the shooting. The counsel for the defense is correct. It's clearly shown in this photographic print. But the bullet that the Shulkin brothers fired at Mr. Sholmes hit him in the stomach region, then exited his body and lodged into the shop wall where the calendar was hanging by the door. I think you'll find it's really quite simple if you just consider the problem three-dimensionally. Ha! Who do you think I am, son? Well, juror number 4 is about the best I can do. As soon as I saw the wound to the man's stomach, I flipped him over. Like a pancake? Are you saying you checked his back? Of course I did, and there wasn't a trace of injury. No sign the bullet had left his body at all. What? That's the point. The only logical conclusion is the bullet was still somewhere inside the men's innards. Which is exactly why I said about slicing him up. I'm still none the wiser even now. How many times do I have to say it? Can somebody please explain how it happened? Someone please solve the mystery. It's almost as much of a mystery as how this jury was put together. Well, we have a ballistics expert. Well, Mr. Ballistics Expert, let's have at you.
Objection.
These two statements clearly contradict. The idea that all I do is pit jurors against each other. Ooh, a ballistics expert! Pitting. P-I-T-T. On the night in question, Mr. Sholmes was shot by one of the Skulkin brothers, but since there is no sign of an exit wound on his back, we must assume the bullet didn't pass through him. However, no bullet was found lodged in Mr. Sholmes' body either. Furthermore, a bullet was found lodged in the wall of the shop near Mr. Sholmes was shot. Juror number 6. Hello, my name is Villain. Pleased to meet you. This apparent contradiction in the facts that is so clearly troubling juror number 4. Are you able to explain the mystery? I've seen very similar situation in Motherland. It was night. It was blizzard. I was running away along mountain road in freezing cold. Golly! The snow was piling high on both sides of road. It was very, very narrow and dangerous. My pursuers had hunting rifles. They were on dog sleds. Mental note, don't ask too many questions. I was shot from behind and I fell down in snow. And this situation was very similar to what I hear today from doctor. They could not find bullet in my body. And no sign of how you say, exit wound. Then where did the bullet go? Bullet never hit me. Well, if it never hit you, why did you fall down? Bullet hit frozen wall of ice, very close to my side. What? One small piece, very sharp, broke away from lump of ice and pierced my body. It made deep wound that looked just like bullet wound. Gracious! Of course, piece of ice quickly melted inside me, and that is solution to mystery of disappearing bullet. But that doesn't answer the question at all. The shooting happened in a pawnbroker shop, not some snowy mountain road in another country. Just an idea, but might we not be looking at exactly the same scenario here? Bruno, where exactly was Hurley shot again? Well, according to the report, in his stomach, sort of around this area, I think. Well, that's precisely where he always wears a little pouch on his belt. A pouch. Oh, yeah. It's where he keeps 3 glass vials of very dangerous chemicals that he uses in investigations. Doctor, where's the pouch Mr. Sholmes was wearing? The fellow had nothing like that on his person when he arrived at the hospital as far as I can remember. If I may, Lord Van Zeeks. While I realize it's forbidden for the prosecution to interject during a summation examination, I should inform the defense that I have the pouch in question, in the antechamber outside the courtroom. Sorry? As I understand it, when the police arrived on the scene and found Mr. Sholmes injured, they removed the pouch in order to assess the wound. Ah! My goodness! I thought I was getting forgetful for a moment. Since then, it has been in my safekeeping, along with all other evidence relating to the case. I can personally vouch for the fact that it has not been touched since the incident occurred. Very well. While extremely unconventional during a summation examination, I must demand the prosecution present the item in question with all speed. Bring forth Mr. Sherlock Sholmes' pouch. I see. So this is the pouch worn by Mr. Sholmes on the night in question. Look at that. One of the files is broken and the leather around it is scorched black. It's almost as if the file exploded. Exploded! So that night, the bullet from the Skulkin Brothers gun struck Mr. Sholmes' pouch. And it was the glass file exploding that caused the fellow's injury. This bullet did not penetrate victim, but was deflected into wall of shop. A delightfully complex aroma. Well, it would appear one mystery has been solved at least. Though it has no bearing on the truth of this case. The Bungling and the Burgling brothers shot the detective, and the accused shot the pawnbroker. The pertinent facts of the case remain unaltered. At least the mystery's solved. I can sleep easily tonight. Thank you, young man. Duh. Thank you very much. Glad I could help. Due to its bearing on the conundrum just solved, the court will sequester this scruffy pouch as evidence. How these pouches and scruffy? Oh, I don't think so. We are going... Alright, pouch. It's really scorched badly just here. Time to see if we can open this. Well, 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 look at that. It's a third bullet. That's the Skulkin Brothers' bullet. What a stroke of luck it hit his pouch. There were 3 bullets fired at Windibanks that night. The third bullet. Rock and roll! My lord, a little more time. That's a new piece of evidence. It could be a valuable clue, and you can't afford to overlook anything here, Rinosuke. Alright, 3, number 2. It's the number of bullets that has you convinced. Only 2 bullets were fired, and 2 guns that fired them have been examined by the police. When the parlor maid asks me how many are invited for dinner, I always tell her to count the table settings. Well, that's logical. Although, yes, sometimes after dining, crockery does go missing. 1 or 2 guests rather like the fine china. Does your employer dine with thieves? So I suppose, if there was another bullet somewhere of which we are unaware, I'd have to reconsider my position. Well, we got your third bullet right here. Allow me to show you, then, the third bullet.
Take that!
Here it is. We discovered it just now. Yes, on the night in question in Windibank's pawnbrokery, another bullet was fired.
Hold it!
What is this new trickery, you Nipponese conjurer? Where did you find that bullet? It was lodged inside Mr. Sholmes' pouch. What? This pouch was removed from around Mr. Sholmes' waist before he was taken to the hospital, and since then it has been touched by no one. Do you mean to say the shot fired by the Skulkin Brothers that night? Yes, as your lordship has surmised, it hit this pouch. But that makes no sense whatsoever. We already know the whereabouts of the bullet fired at Mr. Sholmes. It clearly is visible in the holographic print, or photographic print. Ah! 2 guns from the scene have already been submitted into the court record as evidence. That of Mr. Windibank and that belonging to the Skulkin Brothers. An examination of both guns revealed that only a single bullet had been fired from each. But that must mean there is a third gun. However, only 2 bullets were fired from the guns recovered from the crime scene. And until that incontrovertible inconsistency is explained, We cannot and must not pass judgment. Aye. Thank you. Ah! Order! 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 While the summation examination remains incomplete, the court has been presented with new facts. Facts that would appear to shake the very foundations upon which the case against the defendant has been built. As is my prerogative in this situation, I hereby temporarily suspend the summation examination. By Jupiter! What? Bailiff, bring the witnesses back to the stand at once. Witnesses? Governor! Were you listening to proceedings while the defense carried out the summation examination? We was, Governor, we was. Perhaps we can dispense with the tedious preamble. Simply answer this one question. A third bullet has been identified at the scene of the crime. What do you make of that? Make of it, Gov. I'll make nothing of nothing if I can help it. Is it one of yours? Good blimey, Gov, good blimey. Not a chance. In that case, did you have an accomplice? What? Hey, what? Never! The Sculpin brothers work alone. It's just the two of us. That's our trademark. How soon we forget poor Sulky. Only 2 of the bullets from the crime scene originated from the firearms we have in evidence. The third bullet was fired from another gun. Where is it? Dummy, it's an head scratcher. Counsel for the defense. Yes. I should like to hear your thoughts regarding these new developments. The third bullet, and the mysterious missing firearm from whence it came. Yeah, there has got to be an accomplice. I think it's clear what this third bullet tells us about the Sculkin brothers. They had an accomplice. On that night at Windibank's pawnbrokery, the brothers must have been working with a third man. The witnesses are clearly doing their best to cover up the existence of this accomplice. But the evidence all points to the fact that there was someone else present, someone carrying a gun.
Objection!
An accomplice, you say? Pig's will. These protracted proceedings have already forced us to endure 2 summation examinations. Yet in all that time, there's been not a murmur of a third man. This apparently wraith-like being exists. The court must be shown hard evidence. Without it, this fantasy will be crushed. The prosecution demands an answer on the 2 counts. Firstly, proof, evidence, that this accomplice was ever at the scene of the crime. And secondly, the identity of this spurious character. Skulkins are lying, I know that. But how can I ascertain the identity of the person they're hiding? Well, counsel? We got an answer, got simple... We got blood samples. We are ready. Ready to rock. The defense is ready. I believe I can provide all the answers the prosecution demands. So, my Nipponese friend, despite the swimming eyes, you seem to think you have something to say. Well, hey, at least we're not freaking Junko Enoshima. The promises to be interesting. Ow, Jesus. Alrighty, here we go. First off, evidence. Blood samples.
Take that!
The evidence is right here, in this portfolio. By Jove! That portfolio again, is it? Do you expect the court to rifle through your papers itself? Be more specific. You claim one of those blood samples proves the presence of the certain intruder. Well, which one is it? Alright, numero uno. Here we go.
Take that!
What am I looking at here? There appears to be some green paint or such like around the bullet hole in the middle of the calendar. That's a blood stain, my lord. A blood stain? Green blood. Curious, even for you. Is this court to understand that the intruder was some inhuman creature? It's something developed by Mr. Sherlock Holmes. What a great detective! New invention, stop! Not yet appeared in stories, stop! It's this you see. It doesn't have a name yet, though. This fogger spray is a chemical that reacts with the different elements in people's blood to change its color. Different elements? People's blood? Yes, everyone's blood is slightly different, you see, because it's made up of different elements. So by seeing what color it changes to, you can tell in a flash whose blood it is. Oh, that brings a whole extra dimension to looking at blood. Talk of blood and blood courtroom. Stop. Very exciting. Stop. As an example, this one shows the blood of the victim, Mr. Windibank. Ah, striking blue. Yes, so you see the green color of this blood stain on the calendar shows that somebody else was shot in the main part of the shop. Now hold fire there, young man. Could it be from some unrelated incident? Couldn't it? No, it's not unrelated. The date showing on the calendar is the date on which the Mr. Windibank was killed. By golly! Therefore, we can assume that whoever was shot on the same day. Then whose blood is it? Well, the Skulkin brothers in the stand don't appear to be suffering from any gunshot injuries. Which means it must be the blood of somebody else. The third intruder, in fact.
Objection!
Whose identity the courtroom is still waiting to hear. You can't delay this any longer, my learned friend. Who is this alleged third intruder? Alright, big guy.
Take that!
The man's name is Edgar Benedict. Edgar Benedict? Who on earth are you talking about, Consul? He paid a visit to Windibank's pawnbrokery on the afternoon before the incident took place. When the accused attempted to deceive the pawnbroker into releasing this article in a possession. That's right. The man identified by the defense, Mr. Edgar Benedict, then attempted to take the article from the defendant by force. Broker. Yes, sir. I believe this filthy pocket thief has just redeemed an article from you now. Yes, The article in question belongs to me. I demand for it to be returned at once. No, that's a lie. What are you trying to pull? Give me back my overcoat, you wastrel. And needless to say, any music box discs too. Inspector Gregson was there at the time and can attest to what happened. In the end, it was the inspector himself who took the disc. Can you corroborate this account, Inspector? Yes, my lord. That's more or less what happened. And in the interest of being thorough, I asked Windibank for a print showing the fellow. Taken from one of his red hand recorder Grubbinses. That's him talking to Windibank that morning. And you claim this man is the brother's accomplice? Well, Mr. and Mr. Skulkin. Never seen a geese before in my life. On me life, gal. On me life. Never seen it. Well, somewhat unsurprisingly, it appears our witnesses disagree with your assertion. I'm sure your lordship recalls my learned Nipponese friend's actual assertion, which was that he could prove the identity of the alleged accomplice. Yes, and I can. Then show us the evidence! I agree, we must see proof this clean-cut gentleman in the photograph is the filthy criminal you say he is. Alright, we have our second set of his blood. feeling something has been missing in this trial from the very start, but now I'm getting to drag it kicking and screaming into the courtroom. Are you ready to present your answer to the court then, counsel? Yes, my lord. The defense will present the evidence now.
Take that!
Yet again, in this portfolio, good gracious counsel, that portfolio contained the answer to every question posed. I see you share my interest in claret-colored liquids, my Nipponese friend, but... Enough! The court demands to see further evidence. Which blood sample proves the man you identified was the one shot by the third bullet at the scene of the crime? There we go.
Take that!
As I mentioned before, on the afternoon of the day in question, the defendant attempted, deceitfully admittedly, to reclaim the disc from Windibanks, which is when the aforementioned Edgar Benedict appeared on the scene, I believe. This man then attempted to purloin the article from the defendant's possession, no? That's correct, my lord. I myself was present at the time. It was following this that a minor incident occurred. Well, of course, here's the disc for you. Very well. Then I shall bid you farewell. Say goodbye to style. Wait a minute! That disc is mine! Ah! What do you think you're doing, you little tramp? You've drawn blood, you filthy animal! Being a music box disc, it has countless small but sharp metal protrusions over its surface. Those protrusions cause Mr. Benedict's finger to bleed, and a resulting smear of blood is still visible on the disc now. Goodness, a blood stain, is it? My assistant and I have just analyzed the blood stain here in this very courtroom. Using my trusty Fokker gun. Yes, and we added the results to this portfolio. I say, it's green! It's exactly the same color as the blood around the calendar. The evidence is conclusive. This man calling himself Mr. Edgar Benedict, who was in Mr. Windibanks earlier in the day, is the accomplice who was present at the scene of the crime that night. So there was someone else there. Look at those two brothers now. They're sweating buckets. Boy, what are you talking about? It's boiling in here. My lord, in the opinion of the defense, that Mr. Edgar Benedict should be summoned to this courtroom to testify. It would certainly seem we can ill afford to ignore the gentleman's apparent presence.
Objection!
Well, this has gone on long enough now. This flagrant ignorance of the mechanics of law. Sherlock Holmes, you say? Yes, I've heard the name. The protagonist in a series of short stories for the vulgar classes. A god of detection or some such. And now you employ chemical substances devised by this fantastical persona in the highest court of the land. Do you expect us to take you seriously? The samples made by this plaything are not fit to be called evidence. So the blood stain turned a shade of green. What of it? Here's to you successfully proving that no other blood in the world would turn the same color. Well. Oh, there goes the boot. And pray do not even think of suggesting we should take Mr. Sholmes' word for it. Is he right? Is Mr. Sholmes' concoction a load of rubbish? I don't know. I mean, he's a great detective. What are you talking about? We can't let him get away with it. I knew it would come to this. Of course, Mr. Sholmes' invention isn't going to be recognized by any official body. What other choice did I have? I'm just remembering what Father Christmas over there said before. He does look like Santa Claus. About how he was temporarily suspending the summation examination. In other words, the examination isn't over yet, is it? Good grief! What did you just say, young girl? In the summation examination, the decision as to whether or not the trial continues is in the hands of the 6 jurors, isn't it? So the way I see it, it doesn't matter what certain other people think of Hurley's invention. At least, not for now. Yes, she's right. Young lady, you've quite a devious mind. It really just comes down to one thing. Whether these young ladies and gentlemen of the jury are convinced by what you say, Runo. Is that about right, you would say? Or did I misunderstand something? Unbelievable. Mr. Sholm's partner is a force to be reckoned with. Iris Wilson, sharpshooter. After that shrewd precis of the situation from an entirely unexpected source, it must be acknowledged that the previous summation examination has yet to reach its conclusion. This is absurd. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, the court now looks to you for your final leanings in the matter. As proud citizens of Her Majesty's Britain, I'm sure you would come to a fair and just conclusions. So then, state your final decisions in turn, please.
Not guilty.
Not guilty.
Not guilty. Guilty.
Guilty.
Not guilty.
Wow. Not unanimous, but in our favor. 2 call guilty, 4 call not guilty. Such is the outcome of the summation examination.
Objection.
My lord, with all due respect, this is an outrage. The prosecution refuses to accept this decision. On what grounds? If these jurors are persuaded by some half-baked concoction devised by a pretender to real police work, then they are too ignorant to be trusted with the judgment of anyone's guilt. I'm sorry, Lord Van Zieks, but the outcome of the summation examination cannot be ignored. The trial will continue. Nevertheless, we find ourselves in a rather awkward situation. The defense has very reasonably requested the subpoena of a new witness. But sadly, I fear that will be impossible. What? The name the gentleman gave for himself, Edgar Benedict, is quite clearly false. I don't believe it. Just when I'd managed to prove the man was there that night. Could I say something? Who was that, please? Who spoke? It was me, my lord. Juror number 5? What have you to say, madam? If possible, Inspector. Aye, me, ma'am. I wonder if you might show the photographic print to me again, the one in which the gentleman is shown. Right, yes, this one, you mean? Of Mr. Benedict. Yes. There's no doubt in my mind. Juror number 5, you don't mean to say... You know this man? Yes, I know him. What? No! Good gracious! Order! 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 Juror number 5, how on earth? I am a communications officer. Stop. As we can clearly see, the gentleman in this photograph is... Stop. Also a communications officer. Stop. He works in my office. Stop. A very talented operator, in fact. Stop. He should be in the communications station now. Stop tapping away on the telegraph. Stop. This doesn't seem right somehow. I can't put my finger on why, but it doesn't feel right. I suppose we all imagined the accomplice would be some sort of hardened criminal. It's a bit unexpected to find out he has a respectable job by day, whatever he gets up to at night. I suppose that's it. I suppose that's why I felt something was wrong. If the gentleman is at London Communications Station, we should be able to subpoena him within the hour. Lord Van Zieks, if you please. Yes, my lord. Make the necessary arrangements with all haste, as your lordship bids. The court will recess for 1 hour. When a new witness arrives, we shall reconvene to hear the gentleman's testimony. Inspector Gregson, Yes, my lord. I should like to hear from you specifically about events in the pawnbrokery in the day in question. Come to my chambers during the recess. Yes, sir, my lord. Very well, court is adjourned until 1:40 p.m. Alrighty. That's part 2. Next up comes round 3. I'd say we can stop right there, and I will continue in the next episode. So I will see you guys next time.